What's good, everybody? This is another Mike and Nant episode. Today, I'm just riding solo, just me by myself. Expect the ant. And today, I'm going to go over the coaching firings in the NFL. Huge day. John Harbaugh got fired. So that's the breaking news today. Harbaugh got fired. Several coaches got fired. In Washington, they fired both offense and defensive coordinators. And then in Dallas, they fired their defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus after the Cowboys had the worst defense in the NFL. So here's some of the firings that have happened in the last 2 days. Immediately after the season, the Atlanta Falcons they fired everybody. They got rid of the head coach Raheem Morris. They fired the GM and they fired the team president. So they're completely cleaning house. Matt Ryan is been said that they've hired Matt Ryan as a consultant to kind of help with their GM coaching search. So now it looks like Matt Ryan's gonna be moving into the Falcons front office. Obviously, Matt Ryan, the Falcons legend, all-time leading passer in Falcons history. Don't know what kind of qualifications he has in finding a coach or a GM, but that's his new job. And it's also rumored too that he was also part of the people that told Arthur Blank to get rid of Raheem Morris. And it's also an interesting person to look out for is Brian Flores. Matt Ryan and Brian Flores played with each other in college. So see if Matt Ryan could talk Brian Flores into taking that job in Atlanta. Another coach that got fired was Kevin Stefanski. This one's not really surprising. I had a feeling he was going to get fired. It was rumored during the preseason that he was going to get fired if Cleveland failed to make the playoffs. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs. Excuse me, but it also seems like Stefanski himself wanted to get fired. He made some questionable coaching decisions, questionable calls. There is speculation that the owner Jimmy Haslam that he wants to play Deshaun Watson. Kevin Stefanski's kind of done with Deshaun Watson. As we know that Deshaun Watson trade has not worked out, but I guess Jimmy Haslam figured, shit, since we're paying him, he might as well play, get his money's worth. But there's just a lot of things. Apparently, Stefanski did not want to make the trade for Watson to begin with. After all, they did have success and make the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. You think you want to build on that? They chose not to. And then, as we Mike and I talked about too, the whole draft situation. Stefanski wanted Gabriel. The owner wanted Sanders. Obviously, the owner won out, and they drafted Shador in the fifth round. So there's just like a lot of stuff going on in Cleveland. It looks like Kevin Stefanski wanted out, and maybe just time to move on. But he's gonna get a job. He's a two-time coach of the year. There's a lot of teams that are interested in him, mainly the New York Giants. And him being an offensive mind, I think he could help out that team and help out with the development of Jackson Dart. Another person that got fired that's not surprising is Pete Carroll. Again, I was against this hiring to begin with. Pete Carroll, 74 years old, the oldest head coach in NFL history, and it just seemed like the game has passed him by. And that's why Seattle a couple years ago kind of, I don't want to say demoted him, but they kind of fired him up. You know, they told him that we don't want you to be head coach anymore, but we'll give you a job in the front office. Obviously, he didn't want to do that. He still wanted to continue to coach, but it just didn't seem like he had it. And it seemed like the players in Vegas just never really bought in. There's also talk about like some nepotism there, as he was trying to promote his son and put his son in roles and positions that his son might not be qualified for. So we'll see. Vegas is another team where the rumors is they could hire Brian Flores to be their head coach. Obviously, Flores has the Tom Brady connection. Tom Brady's running things there in Vegas. And also, too, what are they going to do with that number one pick? It looks like they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. Even though if I'm the Raiders, I might not even take Mendoza. I might trade down because there's other teams behind them. You get the Jets at two, the Cardinals at three. Both teams that need a quarterback. Maybe one of those teams want to move up, and then so you can try to get more draft picks that way. And then also too, The not Mason Crosby, but the Max Crosby situation. If you trade him, how many draft picks can you get for him? So the Raiders, they might have a big offseason here, and I think they're a team to watch out for in the draft. But Pete Carroll getting fired yesterday is not all that surprising. Another one too is not surprising is Jonathan Gannon. He got fired last night from the Arizona Cardinals, and yeah, he's been there for 3 years, and they've gotten worse every year. Not every year, but they were 4-3 his first 4-13, excuse me, his first year. Last year they showed some improvements. They finished 8-9. A lot of people thought Arizona might take that next step. Instead, they dropped to 3-14, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And then now they decided to get rid of Kyler Murray. There was talks that they're going to try to trade Kyler during the offseason. And then Jonathan Gannon decided to bench him. And then they put him on season-ending IR, claiming he had a foot injury. Even a lot of people feel like that injury is kind of fugazi, but they put him on IR anyway. And this offseason, they're either going to cut him or see if they can find a trade market for him. But Arizona, they're moving on from Jonathan Gannon. He's fired, so they're going to have to find a new head coach now too. John Harbaugh was the big news today, getting let go by the Baltimore Ravens after being there for 18 years. Again, not surprising. There was talks for the last month and a half, that this might happen, especially if Baltimore missed the playoffs. Even though I feel like John Harbaugh is a great coach and he's going to get another job, his agents already said like 7 teams have already called him, trying to see if they can, if John Harbaugh's interested in coaching their team. But John Harbaugh there for 18 years, maybe his voice just got stale, and maybe the Baltimore Ravens need to go in another direction. Sometimes that happens. The question now for Baltimore is you have a Super Bowl ready roster. So who are you going to bring in as head coach? You need a coach that is going to take this team to the next step, and that next step is the Super Bowl. That's the only thing this team has not accomplished yet. This version of the Baltimore Ravens, I should say, have not accomplished yet, especially in the Lamar Jackson years. John Harbaugh obviously won the Super Bowl in 2012, but that was with Joe Flacco, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, and them. So I'm not surprised by the move. And then there's also rumors too that if the Packers do not make the Super Bowl this year, or the Steelers too, another one, Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game in a decade. And I've said this before too, you can't go 10 straight years without winning a playoff game and expect to keep your job. As for Matt LaFleur, Mike and I, we've been saying all season, we do not see the Packers getting to the Super Bowl. But apparently, if he don't get there, he might lose his job too. So we might have 2 more coaches losing their jobs after this weekend, depending on what happens in the first round of the playoffs. So now I'm going to talk about the teams, the best coaching situation and the worst coaching situation. So far we have 7 teams that need new head coaches. That is the Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, New York Giants, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, Arizona Cardinals, Baltimore Ravens. The best situation, obviously, is Baltimore. That's a Super Bowl ready team, and basically, your job is, if you get that job, it's just not to crash it. No, you got to take that team to the next step. I don't think Baltimore should go with the young, inexperienced head coach. I think they need to go with the veteran head coach. Maybe a Mike McCarthy. He's rumored to be out there. Somebody like that, who you just need somebody who could take you to the next level. Maybe, and I feel like a veteran coach could do that, not a young upstart coach. The second best job, in my opinion, is the Atlanta Falcons. Actually, the Atlanta Falcons might be the best job. For 2 reasons. Number one, you play in that shitty ass division, where, as we've seen, all you need to do is win 8 or 9 games, and you win in that division. The Carolina Panthers won that division this year, only winning 8 games. So that's number one, easy ass division. Number two, that Atlanta Falcons team has way too much talent on both sides of the ball. The only question for Atlanta is the quarterback. Are you going to stick with Kirk Cousins, who at time, I've said it, at time he kind of looks washed? Michael Penix, He tore his ACL for the third time. I'm not even sure if he's ever going to be the same again. And what are you going to get from him? He tore that ACL twice in college. Now he tore it again this year. So even if when he does come back, how good can he be? And so far in the games that he's played, especially this year, he looked very inconsistent. So the jury's still out on him if he's even going to be a good quarterback or if he can even be a franchise quarterback. And will Atlanta be looking at possibly drafting a quarterback in 2027? We'll see. But I think Atlanta's a good job. Like I said, they have talent on both sides of the ball and they play in a weak division. The third best job opening, in my opinion, is the New York Giants. A lot of young talent there. Again, just like Atlanta, a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. The only thing with the Giants is they're a very young team. All their best players are under the age of 30. I think the oldest one is Brian Burns, excuse me, and he's only 28. So they have a young nucleus, and they had to me, it's all about hiring the right coach to kind of bring that thing together. But I think the Giants are on the right track. And I've said this before. I said give it about a year or two. This team will be competing for the NFC East with the Eagles. I think the Giants have that much talent. So they're the third best coaching vacancy, in my opinion. The fourth best coaching vacancy. This is where it starts to get tricky. But I'm going to say the Las Vegas Raiders. They play in a tough division there in the AFC West. But I mean, Denver, they're good. The Chargers, they're good. Kansas City, they're going to be in the middle of a rebuild. So there's a chance there for the Raiders to kind of make some noise. I think what makes that job appealing is that you're going to get the number one pick in the draft. So you can either take Mendoza or trade down. It's up to you. You might get a ton of draft picks if you decide to trade Max Crosby. And so I think the recipe's there for a coach to put their imprint on this team. They don't have a lot of talent, but if they could be patient, they could rebuild that roster and have the Raiders back in the playoff hunt again. The fifth best job opening, or maybe the third worst job opening, depending on how you look at it, is the Cleveland Browns. They have a great defense. Offense leaves you a lot to be desired. They got to figure out their quarterback situation. If you're the new coach, that whoever gets hired there, do you really want Deshaun Watson? Uh, no, Shador, he looked good at times, but he still had more interceptions than touchdowns in his 6 games that he started. Dylan Gabriel, so they got to figure out what they're gonna do at quarterback. I mean, it's sad to say, but Deshaun Watson still might be the best quarterback on their roster, even though he looked like ass for the last 3 years. But defensively, you're stepping into a situation where you got a top five defense. The question for the whoever comes in there, they just got to build that offense. And then the second worst coaching vacancy is the Tennessee Titans. To me, this job's bad. They're kind of like the Raiders, where they don't have a lot of talent, but you do have a quarterback that I feel like you could build around. But the problem is the owner. Amy Adams Strunk is her name, but she seems to she's I don't want to call her emotional, but she seems to make rash decisions. I still don't understand why she fired Mike Vrabel. Then you get rid of AJ Brown because you don't want to pay him. You get rid of Derrick Henry because you don't want to pay him. Like I really don't know what she's doing. And then you hire Brian Callahan. You fire Brian Callahan. Now you're looking for a new coach. There's reports today that they're going to interview Jason Garrett to be their new head coach. So, and I was telling Mike earlier when we was texting, I said Tennessee ain't serious, and I think it starts with the ownership, and I think that's why it's the second worst job opening, in my opinion. And then to me, the worst job to take will have to be the Arizona Cardinals. They they don't have much. They have talent, but I look at that division. We seen what they did this year. They have 3 teams. The 3 best teams in the NFC are all in the NFC West. And Seattle, they're not going anywhere. The LA Rams, they're not going anywhere. The San Francisco 49ers are not going anywhere. And Arizona, they're so far behind those 3 teams in their own division that I don't know if they're gonna be able to compete. And it's gonna be up to ownership, whoever gets that job, to be patient. I think Arizona, they're in a situation where they just gotta blow this whole thing up. After 7 years of building around Kyler Murray, it hasn't worked. And, Kyler Murray to me just was never that guy. Um, he's had too much success in the league to call him a bust, but I don't think you can win with him, and it's showing that in Arizona. In 7 years, just 1 playoff appearance, and he wasn't very good in that 1 playoff appearance either. So I just think Arizona, they gotta blow it up, start from scratch. The only problem is that the teams in their division are so far ahead of them that it might take Arizona at least maybe 5 years before they can even seriously compete with the rest of the teams in their division. Just looking at this roster and what they have to do, they're gonna have to gut this whole thing. So Arizona to me is the worst coaching job out of the 7 that are open. But anyway, that is it for today. Just a quick video. Just want to discuss all the coaching vacancies and all the hoopla that's been going on. This will probably be a YouTube exclusive video, but you can still listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spreaker, and as mentioned on Sunday, I'm trying to get us on podcast, so make sure you look out for that. Um, and make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube at Mike and Ant, excuse me, Mike and Ant Sports. So follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on X/Twitter at Expected Ant. And if you want to follow my boy Mob Miz, his is Mob Squad 508. And make sure you scan that QR code to my right and get your Doobie Energy products. Type in the user code Mob Squad 508 and you get 10% off on all Doobie Energy products. Anyway, that is it. Peace.